All right, welcome to the next installment of our alumni webinars. Today, we are joined by Diamond. We're so excited to have you, Diamond, to talk about your
Hi.
experience.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. I think I always like to start off just with basic introduction. So my name is Rachel Dietz. I'm the sales and marketing manager for CIE Temple, and I do a lot of marketing for CIE Teach Abroad as well. I am an alumni of the CIE Teach Abroad program in Madrid. So Diamond and I have that in common today.
Mhm.
Diamond, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name's Diamond. I was part of CIE in Madrid 2022. I did stay on for another year, not via CIE, but CIE was the one that helped me get introduced and establish my life there and get a job there as well. Background, I am a nurse, a registered nurse with my BSN. I graduated from college in 2019. And I chose to move to Spain in between my nursing career just to have like a eat, pray, love type of vibe. And yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's awesome. So as always, I like to give like a before, during, and after snapshot of your experience, Diamond. So we'll start with kind of where you were at when you were starting to look into teaching abroad, like what sparked that interest?
Yeah, definitely. So funny enough, my senior year of nursing school, I was in college. So my senior year at Widener University, in America universities, there's always a long winter break. So I decided that I wanted to go to Europe. So during my winter break, I had a friend who lived in Spain and I stayed with her for a week and we went around and I ran into a girl who was doing the CIE program there. This was 2018. So her and I exchanged information and stayed in contact. And then I graduated from nursing school. After a year of that, COVID hit, the world shut down, and I still had CIE in the back of my mind. So while I was working through COVID as a nurse, I was still looking forward to eventually moving to Spain. And the world opened up, and I said, okay, this is my chance. And I was looking at CIE's website, seeing when they would start having participants go back. And as soon as it opened up, I applied. So that's pretty much how I got introduced to CIE, just by going to Spain and finding one of your active participants.
Was it like happenstance that you found this like were you just like
Yeah,
out
no, it
and
was
about?
very random. It was very random. Yeah. I mean, like most of the time when I feel like in Spain, other places, if you meet an American, they usually have some type of English assistant program they're doing, or they're an au pair. So she happened to just be a CIE participant. And then she did let me know that you can do auxiliares de conversaciones through the government, but she highly recommended CIE for all of the help that you give and the support. And I'm a girl that didn't just want to move without any support. So she told me about it and I read up on CIE and applied.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that it was what set CIE apart from other, I mean, there's so many programs to teach in Spain. But I mean, when I was looking at the program too, I mean, I had been to Spain, I studied abroad in Spain. I
Mm-hmm.
did not want to do it alone. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go through the visa process alone.
No, no. More power to those who do, but I
Yeah.
feel like CE held my hand and kind of made it like those old yellow books, like dummy books. Like it was dummy proof. Like you cannot mess up with CIE.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much information that just gets regurgitated to you so that you kind of have a consensus of lots of people that are going through the program. And
Yeah, yeah. And it can be overwhelming moving abroad. And, my experience has taught me that I really salute immigrants, people who do it to start a new life and don't have any support. So CIE was great from before I got there, during, and even after. Like I still have friends that I made during CIE that I stay in contact with.
yeah, like the orientation.
Orientation, yeah, yeah. And even being there for 2 years, I would meet up with them. We would like get coffee and have little lunch breaks and just be like, we can't believe we're still here. It's such a blessing. What are we gonna do afterwards? So yeah, I've made some long lifetime friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the network that and I feel like networking abroad is also kind of a game in and of itself. Like you're saying, like you just ran into this
Yeah, yeah.
who's doing the CIA program. You never know what kind of opportunities are going to come out of just being abroad alone.
Yeah, putting yourself out there. Opportunities don't happen when you're at home.
Absolutely.
Opportunities happen when you get out your house and leave your comfort zone. So yeah.
100%. So walk us through that, like, so you made the decision, walk us through that like couple months leading up to you moving to Spain and like the preparation process and how that was for you. Because I'm assuming that you were probably working full time.
Yeah, so I
Um,
think my experience is a little bit different in the fact that I kind of was an adult. like a grown woman with a really good job. A lot of CIE participants, and you correct me if I'm wrong, are coming out of college. So, you
Mhm.
know, that I had really good savings account, and I knew that when I moved to Spain, I didn't want to share an apartment. I wanted to live by myself, and I was working enough to be able to see, okay, I can afford that. With that being said, I had made friends who are Spaniards, and they were letting me know these are the apartments, these are the prices, these are the neighborhoods. And I had already gotten my school. So I was trying to figure out, okay, how much of a commute do I want to do? How safe of a neighborhood? How close do I want to be around like the nice bars versus the really nice shopping areas? So I was really just trying to plan my life out. But I also wanted to be recognized, like, when I had moved, COVID was still in the air. So there were still masks and whatnot, and we had to have our vaccines. So I was still a little apprehensive, like, is this even going to happen? Are we going to have the world shut down again? So I was hopeful, but like also a little hesitant to really believe it was going to happen. But yeah, I was basically just working a lot to save money. I was saying my goodbyes to my family and friends. We had a little goodbye party because I thought I was going to move there forever, which I still hope to. But yeah, it was basically me just preparing for a new life and hoping that all of it went well. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, getting your ducks in a row.
Yeah, literally. And then with that being said, CIE offered me the chance to blog. So I was able to blog before getting to Spain about like what I was doing, my visa appointment. I was blessed and still am blessed. I live in Philadelphia. So the Spain embassy is in New York. So it's not far. It was an hour and a half drive. My mom and I made a day out of it. So we went to the embassy, and CIE helped by making sure we had all of our paperwork. And it was funny, at the embassy, there were other people there who were trying to do student visas as well, but not via CIE or Auxiliares de Conversaciones. And the person working at the embassy basically said, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And each person slowly started to back off the table because they didn't
Oh,
have certain documents. Yeah, like proof of health insurance, a double photos for the visa. And I was so happy that I had every single document. CIE made sure I knew what to have. And they were like, okay, at the end, there was like 8 of us. And in the beginning, there was 8, and the end, there was 2, because us 2 only had our documents. And like, okay, you guys can come back with us. We'll start your visa process. So I did that, took a photo, and then me and my mom went to Coney Island and enjoyed the rest of the day in New York.
nice. A little outing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember my consulate was a Chicago consulate, and I live in
Okay.
Minnesota, so I had to take a flight down, but I did make like a day of it, you know.
Yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that, like, the privilege of where you live in America. Like, reading, some people have to catch like 1 or 2 flights and then you can't mail it in. And I was like, oh, I'm so blessed to live right next to New York City and just drive.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot to say about like you being able to show up and like not be worried that you don't have a document. I know
Mm-hmm.
from personal experience with CIE, obviously I had no issues. I was like, great, I have everything I need to have. I mean, I had my checklist. I'm a very checklist
Yeah.
type of gal.
Yeah.
But I got my master's in Spain. So I'd come back home after I taught abroad, and then I went back to get my master's in Madrid. And I didn't have all the documents because things had changed quite a bit.
Yeah.
And they do change pretty much every year. And so then
Mm-hmm.
I was turned away that second time, and I was like, dang it, where's CIE for this?
Where's CIE for masters? Oh my. Yeah, it can be scary. And also getting an embassy appointment. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know how it is for other embassies, but I think I emailed saying I had my documents and I want to have an appointment. And they just shot my appointment date. Like, there was no, what works for you? When are you most available? It's like, this is the date and time. Show up. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
See you then.
See you then. Okay, I'll call out of work. No problem. I'm gonna be there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, so then you were saying your goodbyes, getting your ducks in a row, getting your visa and things together, and then you arrive in Spain. Tell us about those first couple of moments in Spain and your first impressions. I guess you'd been to Spain before, but
Yeah, I did, but I went with
you know.
friends. I think this one, well, one CIE, ironically, at the airport, I think I flew out of JFK. So there were like a good amount of people at my gate, and they were all like young, and they looked like they were going to CIE too, but I didn't want to be like, hey, are you moving to Spain? So when we landed in Madrid, at the airport, there was the orange shirts with the bright CIEE people with their cue cards, and it was just so welcoming and so reassuring that I had chose the right program and that I wasn't going to be like abandoned to just discover the city on my own. So we waited, and then there were buses that took our luggage, and we went to our hotel rooms. And I was able to make, some small chat with some people on the way and make some friends. I did recognize that I bought a lot of luggage. I'm one of those people who I brought 4 suitcases, okay? And to this day, I'm not ashamed of it because I did not want to spend a lot of money on clothes. I did end up revamping my whole wardrobe after 2 years, but I brought 4 suitcases, and that I recognized, okay, I'm in a different part of my life because everyone's mostly a college kid just graduated. And I'm like, all right, I was 24. I had a little bit more womanhood developed already and whatnot. So yeah, and then after the hotel, we all like had chance to go explore because I don't think orientation started then. So me and 2 other CIE participants, we took the metro and we went to get lunch.
Nice.
And we were just like, we're gonna take Spain right now. We're gonna explore right now. Yeah.
Go for it. Go for it. Well,
Yeah.
touching on the 4 suitcases, what are some things, like what are the top like 3 tips that you learned about packing? A lot of people ask about packing,
Oh
especially.
yeah, no. I don't regret anything I bought. I know, like, I used everything. I think hair product, like, do not depend on Spain to have your hair product. Bring as much as you can. And with that being said, you can't put it in your carry-on because you'll be bringing big bottles. So bring your own personal hair care. I'm not a big makeup person. They have makeup in Spain, but if you know you have a certain tint or foundation that they might not have due to just lack of diversity, bring that too. Footwear, bring dependable footwear, okay? Because once you start converting the US dollars to euros, you really don't want to spend their prices. When I moved there, the US dollar was doing so good. Now we're not doing that good. So if you can get some good sneakers while here at home, do it. A nice jacket, coat, because depending on where you're placed, Madrid kind of has a temperament like the East Coast. So they have cold winters and their summers are very, very hot. So like, a jean jacket, a winter coat, some light jackets. So yeah, I think that's like what my like major like 3 things, like know your hair product, skincare. I will say, make sure you have your own like CeraVe and all that. Go to the drugstores. Make sure you get all your skincare products too. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I said shoes last week. Shoes is my like big thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said it last week, I'll say it again. Madrid will rip your shoes apart.
Yes, it
I
will.
think
Yeah.
someone just asked a question in the chat about, do people mainly wear flat shoes? Is it common to wear heels? I think you'll see a mix of both. If you're going to be going out at night, like to the discotecas and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
probably should not be wearing sneakers to that. Although there are
No.
some clubs that will take sneakers, but sometimes there is a dress code. But in the day-to-day life, I think people are pretty like street savvy with
Sneakers.
yeah.
I will say Madrid has amazing sneaker game. Like people love their sneakers because also the majority of European cities you'll recognize people don't drive to cities, like bigger cities. The transportation is really safe and really clean. So you're gonna be walking. You're gonna be walking. Like do not expect to get your license. Do not expect to get a car. Like you will be walking. So if you comfort and cuteness, find the balance. Okay. And you can find it, but it's hard. You can
Yeah.
find it. It exists. So yeah, if you're gonna wear heels, unless you're like a supermodel and you're used to wearing heels, Madrid has, there's cracks in the sidewalks, there's hills, the metro, getting to the subway, most of them don't have elevators. So you're going down steps, you're going up steps. So yeah, sneakers are your best friend in the daytime.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I always feel like wearing heels, even block heels that give a little bit more stability. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm being limited. I
Yeah.
want to be able to
Wedges
walk.
are good. Like those
Yeah.
chunky wedges you see with the flamenco dresses, like
Yep.
those are really good and cute. You just of course don't want to break your ankle, but yeah, you're gonna be walking. And that's how you get to see a city. And that's how you get to explore life. And people are always walking. 20-minute walk is nothing. You'll get used to it. Unless you have bad shoes, then it'll be a lot. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, those are some great tips for packing for sure. And then okay, so then in your mind, like preparing for the teaching position, like I guess let's talk a little bit about like expectations and then reality
Mhm.
of the teaching position. Like what were your
Yeah.
expectations going in, and then what was the actual reality of your position?
So yeah, I stalked the blogs. I stalked all the blog entries trying to like read other people's experiences. And prior to going, I recognized that a lot of the schools are different. So your experience is going to be completely different based on the culture of your school. I did bring like a English, Spanish workbook fun game book that I got from Amazon, like little fun things to do in the class. I did have an idea of like I made a presentation about who I am. I know I would be presenting that my first week. But yeah, I had an idea that I would be like someone's little helper, like the English teacher's little helper. And then I got there and I recognized that respectfully, some of the English teachers' English is really bad. Like some of them, their English is really hard to understand. They make a lot of errors, and it can be a little bit of a struggle to try to understand them. And Spanish is my second language, but at work, we were encouraged not to speak Spanish because if the kids know you can, then they're going to revert back to speaking Spanish. So at work, I barely spoke Spanish, even though it was my second language. But some of my teachers really didn't use me at all. I sat there and they kind of pretend like I wasn't there. Then there were other teachers who would say, next week, prepare a topic about sports. Next week, prepare a topic about prom. Next week, prepare a topic about education. So it depends on the teacher. And I had to recognize that this is not my classroom. I can't like be the alpha, even though it's kind of my personality. I kind of like want to lead and be led. So some teachers would use you. Some people didn't care that you were there. So it all depends. And then at my school, we had a rotating schedule. So I was with certain teachers for 8 weeks. And then after, I think, a long holiday, I think it was a fall holiday, I got another eight weeks with a different teacher. So they kind of shared us because my school was bilingual and they wanted to make sure they always had an English assistant in each class, but they wanted us to also not get bored with the same teachers. So we moved around throughout the year.
Wow. So what type of school were you at? Were you at a secondary school?
I was in high school in bachillerato. So bachillerato is something that really doesn't exist here in America, which makes sense. But bachillerato is kind of like that weird in between after high school, before college. It's not mandatory. Mandatory is that kids have to be in school until they're 16, and that's when they graduate, like our high school. And then from 16 to 18, they can go to bachillerato, which is like kind of like community college-esque, and then they can choose to go to university. After 16, some kids can go to bachillerato, or they can go to a trade school, or they can start an internship. So I did high school in bachillerato. I preferred bachillerato because the kids were choosing to be there because they wanted to continue their education. And a lot of them really did love having a native English speaker because, as I said before, a lot of their Spanish teachers, their English wasn't the best. So to hear a native, they were like really excited. And a lot of Spanish kids tend to listen to English American movies. So they were like, oh, like this is something I'm used to. I'm used to your accent. I'm used to hearing the words you're speaking versus like a British person or someone else from like, because you will have other coworkers from like India, the Philippines, but a lot of times Spanish students told me they liked my English.
Yeah. It's interesting because most of their exams are in British English, of course.
Yeah, it is.
Geographically
Yeah.
close as they are.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of get a mix. I mean, at my school, there were 6 of us. We had 3 Americans, someone from Ireland, someone from Manchester, and then someone from Australia. So
Oh, fun.
we were always fighting about how to say things.
Yeah. I had someone from Scotland. I had someone from India. I had someone from the Philippines, and then I had a French coworker because apparently this program exists for French people too. And then I had 2 people, one's from Texas and one was from Louisiana. So yeah, it was a nice little mixture.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to meet, others at your school. You might not have other auxiliaries at your school, but sometimes I think for the most part, most people do.
Yeah, no, you might see, it depends on where you're located. Like I had friends who teach in pueblos, like towns in the middle of nowhere, and they were the only aux. There are some people that have like 4 or 5 for each grade because their schools are so big. It kind of depends on the where the school's located, the funding the school has, and the resources. So you can be blessed with having a lot of friends or no friends. Or no coworkers.
When we also knew, like, we had a spelling bee every year too, where we got to do it was like an inter-school thing. So we got to meet sometimes some other language assistants from other schools in the area.
Oh, that's
so that
cool.
was kind of fun too.
Yeah, we didn't have that.
You never know. I don't know if the spelling bee lived on after my 2 years teaching. But
funny enough, they did have an exchange program where kids from Germany came and kids from Italy came. So they also got to have some English experience with us too. But the funny thing is that the German kids and the Italian kids came and they had to speak English to one another because they don't neither of them spoke each other's language. So it was also interesting to see how that works. Like two people speaking English as their second language, and that's the only one they can communicate with. So that was an interesting experience too.
Yes, yeah, they're learning English. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Well, that's great. I mean, definitely, I think that's a really good perspective on like, your expectation of being really involved in the classroom potentially, and then that not being the case sometimes, and it being the case sometimes. I think what you said too about if you're looking to prepare anything to make a presentation about yourself, I feel like that's pretty commonplace, that
Hmm.
to introduce yourself and having some visuals, or maybe even bringing something from home that represents you.
Yeah, I did
Yeah, I
that.
didn't.
I was very like, I would say like a little naive. Like I kind of just wanted to be this really cool English helper in the beginning. So I bought like a little trinkets from my college days, my high school days, and then I bought American coins. So I bought like 200
Oh,
pennies and like 200 nickels and quarters, and I would give it to the kids after my presentation to quiz them on like what they understood and what they remembered. Hindsight, it was a good idea, but after I gave the coins, they start throwing them at each other. So I was like, I didn't even think that they could turn this into an issue. So I was like, okay, know your ages. Like the younger kids made it a thing where they start throwing coins. The older kids appreciated it, but then the older kids were like, I don't want a quarter, I want a penny. Oh, I don't want a penny, I want a nickel. And I'm like, this is a gift. Like you can't. So I was starting to recognize, like, okay, now I'm dealing with children. I have to remember this. I'm dealing with children.
that's a good idea though. It's pretty easy to come by.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Or
sometimes
even candy, American candy.
yeah,
That's cool too. Yeah, they love their candy.
we had our teachers try hot Cheetos. That was an experience. If you want a fun experience,
Oh,
try
okay.
some spicy,
Well, if you have space in
spicy
your
food.
luggage, guys, go ahead. If you are
Exactly.
looking for American food in Madrid, you will be paying 3, 4 times the regular price because of
Yeah.
import tax. So don't even think, oh, I'll just buy it there. If you have room in your suitcase, go to Five and Below, go to Walmart, but get those big bags. If you have family visiting, tell them to come over and bring some. So yeah, don't even try to buy American products in Spain, let alone food.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Well, so tell us more about, because so I guess one question I have before we move on from kind of the school experience is you talked about that you were trying to prioritize like your living arrangements. I know living arrangements is a common preoccupation of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so tell us more about like what you ended up doing for your living arrangements, and like what your commute was like and how long your commute was.
Yeah, so I had a good amount of savings before I moved. Really good. Wish I had it. I wish I still had that. I had a really good amount of savings when I moved, and so I had a preset budget in mind. I didn't want to spend more than €1,000 on a single bedroom. And so at the time, so this was 2022, so 3 years ago, it was Madrid wasn't as popping as it is now. Like real estate in Madrid is skyrocketing and prices are skyrocketing because Spain's amazing. So I was able to use a bunch of the apps. So Idealista, I forget the other two, but Idealista was a really big one that I used. And so with this being my first time moving out, living abroad, and moving to an apartment, I had to like think of things I never thought of before. Like, do I want fully furnished? Do I want an elevator? Do I want an oven? Do I want to live with a balcony? Do I not want a balcony? Because if I don't have a balcony, I won't have natural light. I'm someone who loves natural light and loves plants. I'm a plant mom. Did I want to live on the very top floor? That means I'm doing cardio every day. And then if I want an apartment with an elevator, you're going to look at an area that probably is a newer building, so more pricing. Did I want a gas apartment, an electric apartment? So all of these things I'm now having to figure out what I want. And so I did a lot of tours. The tours basically worked with, you would see an apartment on Idealista, you would message them, and I spoke Spanish. So I would tell them, hey, I'm in the area. When are you free for me to look at the apartment? And I would go and do a tour. And then they would tell me the price, but most of the time the prices didn't include the gastos. What is the word? Utilities. So it didn't include the water, electricity. So what I thought was €1,000 in my mind, I recognized with gastos, so with utilities was like 1,200. And I didn't want to go more than €1,000. So I said, okay, I had to look at apartments that are like 850, 800, because I would still be reaching that €1,000 budget. And I was
Mhm.
able to find an apartment that was the most amazing location. So even when you go to Madrid, I was in Malasaña. So there's Primark. I lived right behind Primark. So where
Wow.
I know, I lived right behind Primark. I lived in an amazing apartment. I had a balcony. I had an oven, and those are two big things because ovens are hard to come by. People usually have toaster ovens. So I had an oven. I love to cook. I lived on the third floor American, second floor European because they count zero. So, I lived on the third floor, which wasn't really big, fully furnished. So that was great. I had a lot of closet space. I lived next to 3 metro stops. So I lived near Gran Via, I lived near Tribunal, and then I lived near Callao. So those 3 lines, once you get there, you'll recognize they have different metros that connect them. So my commute to school on a good day took 40 minutes. I had to take 1 metro line and 1 bus, and I was always able to get to school with minimal hassle. And because I think after 26, it's only €8 a month to renew your card. So I didn't even have to worry about like paying a lot of money for transportation. After 26, you have to pay a little bit more. But yeah, I was able to take the train, the bus, and the metro for just €8 a month. So yeah, my commute was amazing. Even going to the airport, I had multiple ways to get to the airport because I was flying all the time. I could take a bus, take a metro, take the train. Even an Uber wasn't that far from me from the airport. So yeah, I lived in an
Yeah.
amazing spot when it came to transportation.
Yeah, that's a central hub for
You
sure.
can't get more central than that. You can't get
Yeah.
more central.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like you're saying, the Metro card, it has changed quite a bit. So I don't want to give
Okay.
any specific recommendations now, because if you're watching this, later this is the 1st of September 2025. If you're watching this later, it might have changed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty affordable even for folks that are over 26. And
Yeah. No,
they
it
talk
wasn't
about
that
this.
much of a jump.
Yeah, they talk about this at orientation too. So you'll get updated information on everything. But yeah, I mean, they have severely cut. I mean, when I first arrived in Madrid for under 26, it was
Mm-hmm.
like €32 a month back in the day.
Wow.
Um,
Okay. They made it much
it's
more affordable. And
much
then
more.
going back to my apartment, when you see an apartment, get on it because the next day it was gone. Like the fight for apartments is vicious because you have the beginning of the school year, you have university students, and you have auxiliares de conversaciones, so people who are doing your job. And CIE isn't the only company in the game. So you have other people who also are going to be doing your job. So everyone's looking for an apartment. So although I live by myself during orientation with CIE, that's how people met their roommates. So if you really get on with people during orientation and you become like a nice group of 3 or 4, you guys can decide to get an apartment together. And that helps because then you have 4 people looking for an apartment at the same time. So it saves a lot of time. I will say that some cattiness came out in this situation. Some people said we can be together and live together, and they would find an apartment with 3 beds. And then they were like, well, the 4th person, who do we not like the most? So some people did kind of get hurt in this process. I knew I was going to be myself, so I didn't have to feel this sting. But I did hear about some people not really holding up their end of the bargain when it came to looking for apartments. So if you find a friend, like sign a mental contract, like we're in this together, don't leave me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about like definitely look for apartments with other people, because I think that like having that kind of group mentality takes a lot of pressure off, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're kind of all in it together. But I think it also is important to look out for yourself.
Yeah,
At the
yeah.
end of the day.
Entering the real world. And if you're someone who wants to meet foreigners and other European people, and if you want to improve in your Spanish, you can start looking for rooms now, and then that will put you in a nice mixture to live with other foreigners. Like a lot of people like from other parts of Europe are studying at universities in Madrid, so you'll be sharing an apartment with maybe 4 or 5 other people from different parts of the world, probably as someone Spanish speaking, so you'll be able to improve your Spanish and meet new people. So personally, if I didn't live by myself, I would have done that because a lot of people who ended up living with Americans stayed in that American mentality and hub and didn't improve their Spanish. They didn't make many Spanish friends. So it's kind of like you limit your opportunity to really explore and grow, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is do not ever put a down payment on an apartment before you actually see it.
Oh no.
Of course, you can start looking for stuff from home and kind of get an idea and a feel of what the market is looking like. I think that's a good idea. But yeah, you definitely want to see it in person and also meet your landlord because you never
Yeah.
know who is going to be whose beck and call you're going to be at, essentially.
Yeah,
And so that's really important.
definitely.
So
Yeah. And if you know someone who's a Spanish speaker and speaks English, you get a contract. So get
yeah,
someone to read that contract with you because they might ask you for 3 months rent up front. And I don't know what everyone's saving situation is looking like, but you are supposed to get that back when you
yeah,
leave. And
yeah,
you aren't, if you don't like the apartment, you can leave after 6 months. So they need to have that in the contract. Sometimes landlords, like people in the world, they're going to want to try and like manipulate or not be sincere or truthful. So, if you're out on your own, just read the contract or get it translated. There's tons of people who are willing to help you.
yeah, absolutely. Or get just a second opinion, like someone, one of your friends to read through it. You get a second pair of eyes on it too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
always
And if you're
good.
doing the interview at an apartment with other people, ask the people there what it's like. Like, hey, is this a party neighborhood? Do the neighbors make a lot of noise? How are the other roommates? Are they smelly? Like, what's the fridge situation looking like? Because some people were like, okay, the middle row is my part of the fridge. This cabinet is yours. So, look out for yourself. Be inquisitive because you're going to live here for maybe 6 months or a year and you don't want to suffer.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Gotta ask your questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. Well, so you said that you stayed for 2 years.
hmm
You were getting settled in. I know that the renewal conversation is always something that folks ask about is like, can I stay for longer? Um,
hmm
but you also do have to make a decision on renewal quite soon into your experience. Like basically you arrive, you start your teaching position. For the most part, most people start in October.
hmm
And then you're being asked to renew in February.
Yeah, that's
So tell
true.
me,
Wow. Yeah.
walk me through because I know how I felt during that. I felt a little
Yeah.
unsure, even though I like in the end it was like the best decision that I had made to stay
hmm
for a second year and get that experience. But that's a hard decision to make. And like what was going through your mind when you were working up that paperwork?
Yeah, that's so funny because it's such a long time ago. I knew I wanted to stay for 2 years, and with CIEE, the process, because at the time CIEE wasn't continuing to help with 2 years; they only help with the first year. So you then had to renew through another program. But I
Mhm.
knew I wanted to stay for 2 years. I wanted to see more of Europe. Also, when I had moved, I was 24, and I knew that after 26, you lose your parents' insurance in America. So I said, this is my last year having my parents' insurance. When else will I be single, not having to deal with much stress? We just came out of COVID, so there could be another pandemic. I knew I wanted to stay another year. And so, with that being said, if you know that you're going to want to stay another year, keep that good impression. Like, be a kiss up. Be nice to your bilingual coordinator because they're the ones who have to sign off on if they want you to come back to the school. Try and be as kind and loving. Like, you really want to butter people up because you want to come back. Now, if you don't like your school, the process is a little bit different because then you're going to renew through the government directly, and then they might not give you Madrid again. You're not guaranteed a second school in Madrid. You might be in a little pueblo, you might be in an island. So if you like your school or tolerate your school enough, you're going to renew with them. They ask you in February, so you have to go through the government portal. The portal's really simple. It's in English. I didn't find it that difficult to navigate. And then your school will sign a document agreeing that they want you to come back. And then they also get a digital notification about your application through the government portal, and they agree to you. And then I think you get notified before the end of July that, yeah, you can come back. Then you have to go through the bureaucracy again because your visa expires. So then you have to go and get your visa renewed and then get a letter saying that you can leave Spain for I think 3 months, and then you have to come back afterwards and then renew your visa again. So, but CIE had so many like handouts and paperwork about this, and you're probably not going to be doing this alone. A lot of people tend to stay for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. You might find love. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. But yeah, I mean, I think that's always something to keep in the back of your mind, even if you are just leaving now for Spain, if the second year is going to be like, just have that kind of in the back of your mind as you're getting started, because you will be asked, after you come back from winter break, essentially,
Yeah.
to stay. So We had two people last week that also did 2 years. I myself did 2 years. Tell us about, like, I have my opinions on like first year versus second year, but can you
Mm-hmm.
give a little bit of a comparison of like what the experiences was like from the first year to the second year?
First year, you were running on an adrenaline high. You were just living your best life. You're not caring about anything. You're trying to go to as many countries. Low key, I felt peer pressure because the friends I made in CIE, every weekend they're going somewhere. They're like in Sweden and Portugal. Because, guys, you literally are working for 4 days and have 3 day weekends. And a flight to France is 2 hours. A flight to Germany is 3 hours. Like, you're making day trips and living your best life, and you're not thinking about sleeping well. You're not thinking about eating well. You're just going to Madrid's airport and you are out. You are hitting the ground running. I traveled a lot. I explored a lot. I took a Spanish cooking class. I took private Spanish lessons because I really wanted to eventually get my certificate in fluidity because I want living in Spain. I wanted to make sure that I took the most of my opportunity. So I did end up getting my certificate in fluidity, but that happened my second year. I made a lot of friends. But my second year, a lot of those friends didn't stay because like you're hanging out
Mm,
with people who are also auxiliares de conversaciones. So like they may not renew. So my second year, I looked at who was still here and tried to really make a home. But in the back of your head, you're like, I'm going to leave soon. There's always that reminder like this
yeah.
isn't your permanent place. So it's kind of hard to really establish a lifelong lifestyle because you know you'll be going back unless you're blessed with some friends fell in love and they're still there or you some people got a job, but the majority it's like hard because you literally are building yourself a life in a home, but you know
Mhm.
this won't last forever. So the
Yeah.
second year was kind of this bittersweetness always in the air and trying to figure out where do I go next with this, but also trying to live in the moment. So I would say my first year I was happy, carefree, eat, pray, love. Second year was a little bit, sadness, a gray cloud, but still being so appreciative. So appreciative for the opportunities I had. And I traveled more within Spain my second year versus out of
Mhm.
Spain because I really
Yeah.
want to say, yeah, I lived and saw Spain and enjoyed all that it offered.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a super underrated thing because, well, Madrid is such an international hub, so it's kind of like the obvious choice to explore
Mm-hmm.
Europe in general. But Spain has so much to offer too. So that's
Oh,
really great that you were able to delve into more local travel
mm-hmm.
within
Especially with the
Spain.
transportation. Like you could go to Andalusia in like 4 hours or a plane ride in an hour. You can go to northern Spain. The islands are gorgeous. So don't knock Spain. Don't knock Spain if you can. And also sometimes it'll be cheaper. Like certain holiday seasons, you don't want to drop 300 euros to go to Germany when you can drop 30 and go to Mallorca. So
Yeah,
sometimes it's cheaper and the better choice to stay within Spain.
yeah. I mean, the flights in Mallorca in February, you guys, it's like 27 for two people round trip.
It's
So
a joke. Speaking of which, okay, if you have a carry-on bag from America, throw it away. Throw it away because US carry-on sizes are so big for Europe. And if you're traveling on a budget airline like Ryanair or these other funky names, they will get you because of your baggage. I have such beef with Ryanair. I have emails because they will at the gate they will charge you. If
yeah,
your backpack's too big, you're getting charged 70 euros and your ticket was 30. So you just paid 100 for what? For what? So guys, when you come to Europe, get a carry-on size and ask them, is this Ryanair approved? Because
yeah,
you're probably going to be taking Ryanair for these really cheap flights. So
yeah.
get a nice carry-on, nice backpack. Some people do the pillowcase, some people do the neck pillow. Wear your clothes if you have to. Okay, unless if you're balling and bougie, you don't have to do this. But if you're coming from, a little frugal like I was my second year, I had my clothes underneath. All right, I had a pillowcase with my jacket. Okay, you finesse. You gotta finesse.
It's kind of like a competition in the end. It's like, yeah, I went to, Dublin for like 20 euros.
Yeah,
Round
it
trip.
does. Yeah, and it's like, but how many clothes did you bring? Oh, I just had one shirt. It's like, okay, so you were funky, but it's
I
fine.
wore the same boots the entire trip. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No. So there's comfy, there's cute, and there's traveling on a budget. So it's different. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to pick and choose. You have to pick and
Yeah. But I will say if you don't choose Ryanair, like Iberia or Norwegian, Scandinavia, they're so much more civil. You don't have to have the stress of a carry-on. They're so much more civilized. It's your budget airlines because they know they're going to get people. Like,
Yeah.
it's evil in the purest form.
Yes, it truly is. But
Yeah.
it is. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like you're getting a 30 euro flight. I feel like you can't ever get that in the States. You
You
can find
can't. No, even
it for
going to
that much.
Jersey is like
Oh
120.
my
But
gosh.
I also recognize America is the size of Europe. So when Europeans try to come at you like with these prices comparisons, be like, bruh, our country is your continent. Calm down. Take several seats. I've had so many arguments with Europeans about this. And then let's not. We'll continue. It's okay. Different TED talk for another day.
Yeah, the distances are different, that's for
It's
sure.
so different. Yeah.
Me sitting in a car for 6 hours to get from one state to the next in the Midwest. It's just
It's a
not.
regular day. I was in Montana in June. I drove 5 hours, was in the border of Canada. I'm like, I would never do this in Spain. I would
No,
never.
no. You don't have to. You don't
No,
have to.
we're built different. We're built different out here.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, so okay, so you were in your second year, you're feeling really bittersweet. Kind of tell us a little bit about the end of your time teaching abroad and what were your thoughts as you were coming back to the US? Like what was going through your head? Did you set up job interviews for when you
Yeah. So I'm a nurse. So my job, it's always easy to get a job. I say that humbly. Like I never went without having a job. Even when I came back my first year, I did travel nursing for the summer to
Okay.
reestablish my funds for my second year in Spain because I still lived alone. I was able to keep my apartment for the whole summer. And for my second year, I had a really good landlord. The price went up like 20 euros, but I was like, that's fine because it's still compared to America, you cannot get an apartment. And what is when you guys get there and you go to Malasanya, think of Diamond. That was my apartment. Okay, you cannot get that type of an apartment in a central huge city like that. So towards the end, I will say I was kind of done with my school. There was a lot of drama. Teachers were being fired. My bilingual coordinator wasn't very communicative. We weren't being treated the best. And my attitude showed I was kind of done with this school. I was mentally done. So I was looking forward to going back to America just to, go back to making real money because you're living on a very cute stipend of 1,000 euros a month. So I wanted to get back to making real money. I also was looking at ways to come back to Europe as a nurse or try and get some type of job that allowed international travel or for me to live abroad. But I was recognizing there's a lot of red tape. Trying to get a job with American salary and live in Europe, it's a gold mine. Like it's like a needle in a haystack. I'm still trying to figure it out. So I was setting up job interviews. I came back at the end of July. So school ended in June and I decided to go to Malta with my sister. So that was amazing. It was a lot of fun. I had I had gathered so much stuff. I had gathered so much stuff. So trying to get my things shipped back. But there was this company that was around the corner from where I lived, and they were able to ship a lot of stuff for a very fair price. And when I came back to America a week later, all my stuff came without any damages.
Wow.
So they were really good. They, if you want, I'm pretty sure that afterwards my information can be shared. I can send anyone who wants the information. All this is a future problem. I had to sell out of my stuff, so trying to just get people to take my pots and my pans and my pillows and my blankets and my towels. It was bittersweet because I realized I made my apartment a home. Like I had my
Yeah.
plants, I had my artwork, I had my seasonings. So trying to, unhome my home was like, wow. So I learned that I don't want to move again unless I'm staying. So even
Yeah.
now, I don't know where I'm going to end up, but I know where I end up, I'm not going to move again for another 5 or 10 years because it's mentally a lot. Like having to say goodbye to people who have been your friends for 2 years. And I still talk to them to this day, but saying goodbye, packing, selling, and having to be out because my landlord's showing my apartment around. They're trying to get
Yeah.
it sold as well. So you're now dealing with someone
Yeah.
else's timeline. And then your visa's expiring. So you can't only stay in the country for so long before you're low key like illegal. So yeah, all
Yeah.
of that was happening during the last few months of winding down and still wanting to travel. Like you're in Europe and everything is so close. You know how hard it is to go back to America to just come back to Europe. So you're still trying to like get the last bits of free travel and having your European summer and be cute and just living and drinking your wine for €3 and eating all these Spanish food. So it was
Yeah.
bittersweet, but life happens. So instead of being bitter that it's over, I was blessed that it happened.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing that you said, I think that is so true and kind of unique, really. Maybe this is naive to say, but kind of unique to the American experience. I know that I felt this way too. Is like moving is something that we start basically at the age of 18 when you move out to college. And like you're
Mm-hmm.
saying, like when you're living abroad, it's like you've already pretty much moved every year of college, depending on where you went to college. Then you moved abroad, and then you might have moved to
Yeah.
apartments in Spain. So that's definitely, a consideration of like, where do I want to kind of put down roots? And so did you
Yeah,
move back
exactly.
to Philly?
I did move back to Philly. I'm still here in Philadelphia. I didn't move for college. I commuted all 4 years. So when I
Oh,
when I
okay.
moved to Spain, it was my first time leaving my parents' home. And I will say, hindsight, guys, if you move to your city, move to your grandmom's basement before you move to a continent, to a country, to a like I did it. I went to 10, so now everything's a joke to me. Like I can move anywhere and be like, I got this. Maybe not Asian countries, but that's neither here nor there. But so yeah, I moved back to Philadelphia. I'm living with a family member at the moment because I still don't know where I want to end up. I know I don't want to stay here. Just like once you
Mhm.
taste that certain lifestyle and that freedom, you don't want to settle for it. But I'm actively working as a nurse, and because of my experience with CIE and living abroad, I've been back to Europe 4 times. I still stay in contact with my friends. I have so many connections that when I go back to Europe, I'm usually staying with my friends, and I'm able to navigate with such ease and peace of mind. And yeah, like living in Europe, living in Spain has left a permanent imprint on my heart and my mind. And it's just made me much more worldly and, eager to keep traveling and not really want to lay down roots right now. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
When, how do you think that like the teaching experience affected your professional life?
I would say the teaching experience humbled me in recognizing that our education and how we're taught isn't how the world is taught. Like we sometimes can be very naive and thinking that, oh, everyone knows this, everyone's taught this. And when you're teaching in a different country and listening to the education system, you recognize like, no, not everyone is taught this, that, and the third. And they're not wrong. We're not wrong. But how we see the world is so different. And that's okay. Like, don't be angry. Don't try to convince someone that how you see is right and how they see is wrong. So as a nurse, when I'm dealing with people from different backgrounds whose language isn't who doesn't speak English as their first language, I try to put myself in their shoes and think of how they were brought up, the things they were exposed to. And it made me much more empathetic when I meet people who have moved here from other countries and they're learning the system, like how to get around, how learning English. Like I'm very much more empathetic and patient because so many people were that to me. And I moved for Spain for fun, not to like find a better life, not leaving a war torn country. So when I meet people here, I'm just much I look at them in awe because I'm like, wow, you did all this for a better life, not for fun. And so I just have such more respect and admire them. So that's kind of how it's helped me professionally and just as a human. So if I see someone who's like lost, or even when I'm like in a supermarket and I hear someone speaking Spanish and they're trying to talk to like the salesperson, they don't speak English, I jump in. I jump in automatically. I'm like, you're my people. I got you. Where do you want to go out for? I'll help you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you said about like learning the systems, I feel like that is something that if you haven't lived abroad yet, we really take for granted of just kind of innately knowing how things work in
Mm-hmm.
society. And that's so true that it's very jarring to learn how other societies operate, even if it's not super different from what we're used
Mm-hmm.
to. But yeah, I mean, imagine like everyone that comes to the US and has to learn our systems and how.
I don't even know our system. I'm asking my mom and dad, and I'm 27. I'm like, what are taxes? How do I pay this? Who's your accountant? I'm like, no, please don't. I don't know how to tell. What
What
is
is
this?
this? Yeah,
They're like, what?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
When I meant to ask you this earlier, but so you had said you came into the experience knowing Spanish, right?
yeah,
And that you also got your certification in Spanish.
yeah,
In Spanish.
yeah,
So
yeah.
tell
So
us more about that journey.
sure, definitely. So I'm African American background, not Latina or anything, but I got my minor in college in Spanish, and then I hung a lot around Spanish speakers. But living in Spain, you're learning Spain Spanish. So for those who have studied vosotros, vosotros, they told us to forget about it. It's alive and well, honey. you will be hit with vosotros so much in Spain. And so I mostly hung out with Spanish speakers in Spain and did a lot of immersion. And so my Spanish improved tenfold over while doing that. And a lot of my Spanish friends didn't speak English. So that also helped me improve. My first year, I took a Spanish class. It was actually right next to Cibeles. When you guys moved there, you'll figure where that is. It's a great school in a beautiful building with a garden in the middle. And they had a small class of 8 kids. And depending on your level, they put you in that class. So when you're an English teacher or English assistant, you're helping them to pass the Cambridge exam. So if you've never learned another exam, this is pretty much the format. So A1 is, hey, how are you? A2 is like, hey, I would like to order a hot dog. B1, you're a little bit more able to converse. B2, you're mostly bilingual. C1, C2 is native, like you're a native speaker. So when you learn another language, you're trying to get one of these certificates. And when you're an English assistant, you're trying to help your kids, if you're in the high school, bachillerato, get a B1 or B2, because that helps them in college and helps them get a job. Because, you know, for the most part, most people speak English as a second language. So if you have this certificate on your resume, you're able to get a job. So this exists in Spanish and French, German, all languages have the same language framework. So my second year, I got a private Spanish teacher. He's still available. He teaches via Zoom. If you want his information, he's great. His prices are amazing. He caters, he makes the classes for your level. So I worked with him for a year, came back to America, and I took the DELE exam in New York, and I got my B2 certificate in Spanish. And because if you don't use it, you lose it, I stay talking to my teacher once a week for an hour, just conversation. So yeah, because I mean, if you look at the world, about 20 countries speak Spanish. So, and especially in America, you know, if you look anywhere like Texas, tons of Spanish speakers. Like we just have, Spanish is such a global language. So if you ever want to move to South America, great. You know, you're always going to find someone who doesn't either speaks English or Spanish. After that, it's like Chinese or Arabic.
Yeah, really. Well, congratulations on the B2. I know that the DELA exam is very difficult.
So hard. Hardest exam. Yeah. I'm a nurse. So hard. One, it tests your listening, it tests your speaking, it tests your reading, and it tests your writing. It was the hardest exam I've ever taken because it tested so many different faculties of my mind. And then the speaking part, there's 2 people there, and there's one person writing down everything you say while the person is trying to converse with you. And honestly, I thought I failed because at the end, I was mentally exhausted. You're writing essays in Spanish. You're listening to audios of people speaking Spanish with different accents. So I had someone from Chile, someone from Argentina, and then you're reading like little passages in Spanish and answering these questions. So yeah, and once you have it for life, guys. I don't have to renew it. So even
That's
probably when I
amazing.
can't speak it, it says I can.
Yeah. Well, and you did at some
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
The
exactly.
information's here.
Yeah, it's here. It's here. Yeah.
That's great. I think that you're the first person that I've heard that has gone through it and done a DELE exam after having taught in Spain. So that's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know someone,
I wanted someone to show. I wanted something to show. Like I lived in Spain.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would encourage more people to do that. I mean, even if you don't end up taking the DELE exam, doing some
Hmm.
type of preparatory work, like being proactive about it, I think is super
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, yeah. And my teacher's great. I saw someone say they want their info. I'll definitely
Yeah.
share it. He's married to an American. So he's
Oh,
Spanish. He's a Spaniard. He lives in Madrid. So like he understands our little nuances and why things don't make sense. And he's so patient and he caters things to your level. He'll give you homework. And if you want to, you can do it. If not, and it's all via Zoom. So even when you're in Spain and you're like, I don't want to have to catch the bus to meet someone, does it all online via Zoom.
yeah. What
Yeah.
I will do with the information like about the language classes, I will probably put that in the notes in YouTube. So
Okay.
you can kind of send me all the resources that you think are relevant to
Yeah, definitely.
this.
Yeah, I'm open to helping. I want everyone to have a
Yeah.
good experience because I feel like sometimes there's a little naiveness that people come to Spain and are shocked by their inability to get around and how low level Spanish speakers are of English. When if you think about it, your job here is to teach them English. So that means they need help with their English. So why would you
Right.
think coming to this country that you'll be able to get around easy enough with your English?
Right. I remember I had a student one time that was like, teacher, do you even speak Spanish? And I'm like, yeah, I do speak Spanish. And I was like, what do you think I do outside of school? I was like, yeah, I only speak English here because that's my job.
Yeah, yeah,
What do you think I'm asking for a bag for my groceries in English at the grocery?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah. That's so
no.
humbling. Yeah, they don't realize that like you speak it. I remember my lower level classes, their English was bad. They didn't speak any English to me and they would speak to me in Spanish. And you can't turn off your ability to comprehend. So I would
Yeah.
respond and they were like, "Teacher, you speak Spanish?" I'm like, "Well, you're speaking to me in Spanish and I'm responding in English. So that means I comprehend. Let's 1 + 1 equals what, guys?" But no, it's funny. It's funny.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Spanish is not required to go on the program, but
No, it's not.
I mean, for me, it was very helpful because I had some students that were trying to sneak some things past me by saying
Oh,
it in Spanish and
yeah.
not flying.
Teenagers are teenagers everywhere, guys. When I moved to Spain, I would say, and my teacher would say I had B1.2, which we won't get into, but I was able to open up a bank account. I was able to get a phone plan. I was able to get an apartment. I was able to sign a contract, all in Spanish.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would have been able to establish my life so well and so quickly if I wasn't able to speak Spanish. But
Yeah.
if you don't, you'll survive. There are people around who are also in your same boat. And there are a lot of Spaniards that speak English well, but they're just embarrassed. And
Mhm.
so they have like this shame mentality, which is like a whole psychosocial thing that you can look up. But yeah, it's like they're just embarrassed. But more than
Yeah.
likely, if they're in a like a professional institution like a bank or they're a real estate agent, they have some level of English speaking skills.
Yeah. When I think we mentioned this last week in some other interviews too, but if you are going with CIEE, you probably have the opportunity, there'll probably be someone in your orientation group of like, the 120, 150 people that you get to meet, um, that might be fluent in Spanish and might be able to help you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you
And
never
then
know.
there's like Erasmus. Erasmus is like this international exchange program for European students. So there's a lot of Erasmus dorms, Erasmus rooms. There's tons of Erasmus Facebook groups. So you'll be able to navigate. I'm just saying, don't expect to move to a country whose language isn't English and then be surprised that no one speaks English. you know?
Yeah. But I think on the other flip side of that too, you can't expect to become fluent in Spanish just because you're living in Spain.
Yeah, that goes back to my whole point of if you live with only Americans and only, so you have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable if you want to grow. So don't
Yeah.
be upset that you're not improving and yet all you do is spend time watching Netflix in English, listening to English music, going to restaurants where the menu's in English and all your friends are English speakers. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like immersion is great to learn, but you have to immerse yourself, which
Yeah.
means looking like an idiot, which means maybe saying a word that's offensive by accident, which means being like, I'm lost and I don't know what's going on. You got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If that's your point for living in Spain, if your point is to improve in Spanish, get uncomfortable. If you just want to live your best life and travel, then hey, do that too. To each its
Yeah.
own. It's your
Yeah.
journey, it's your life, guys.
Yes. One, I will collect that information from Diamond later, and so that should be in the notes of the YouTube reposting of this conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
But so I know we're coming to the end of, we have about 2 minutes left. I want to be respectful of your time, but I always
Sure.
end the interviews with kind of your final like piece of advice, like for people who are either going this fall, just starting an application, like what's your biggest piece of advice as people are going into this opportunity, and for what comes after teaching abroad too?
You will not regret it. You will not regret it. I look at those 2 years as the best years of my life. I look at it as privileged and blessed to have even been able to do this opportunity. Your world will open up if you let yourself be open to it, to a huge amount of things. And you'll be able to walk in countries and cities that are older than our country. And you'll be able to meet people whose life is so different from yours, but you guys can bond and still laugh and smile and not look at the differences, but what unites you. So if you're scared, be scared and be brave at the same time. Those two aren't opposites, they go hand in hand. You can be scared and be brave, and you're doing it with CIE as your guide. So you'll meet people if and when you do it who don't have CIE, and they're like little lost sheep. They're lost in the sauce, guys. I look at them like I don't know how y'all did that because I couldn't. So CIE, you guys are gonna be fine. they've gotten this reputation because people brag about them because they're so good. Two, they want you to also eventually become me. Talk about the experience, right? This is a recruitment, this is advertisement, right? I wouldn't be
Yes.
here if I didn't believe in the process. I brag about CIE. Even now when I meet some of my patients and their kids are talking about moving abroad, I shoot them a CIE, 4 letters, we'll never forget it. I love CIE. And there are some people who do the experience and go to another country afterwards because they trust
Yeah.
CIE that much. So, CIE is going to take care of you, no doubt about it.
Yes, we love our alumni, so
And we love you. We love you guys.
I can vouch for that. I mean, this is one of my favorite parts of my job is to talk with people like you, Diamond, and to hear about your
Thanks.
experience. And
It brings back
um,
such good memories. I want to cry.
yeah, well, I mean, I'm an alumni too, so I'm like right there with you about
Yeah, yeah. And it goes by
reminiscing about
so
the
quick.
experience.
Like on a little like corny note, if you do it, write a diary. Get a diary, guys. Like I was a blogger, so you'll find some of my posts, but I diaried so much because life is happening to you so quickly and you just don't want to forget this experience. Like, yeah, you'll have your post on Instagram, you'll have your photos, but sitting down, writing, and really existing in the moment, when you're older, you'll look back and be so grateful you have this written down.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you want to become a blogger, usually the blogger application comes after you've been accepted to one of our programs or right before you leave on program. So definitely submit an application. It's free to do so for being a blogger. So yeah, and if you have any questions, you can always let us know at teach@cie.org. But thank you so much, Diamond, for your time today. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed hearing about your experience. Congratulations on the B2. That's
Thank
a huge
you.
deal.
Yes. No, it was, girl, let me tell you, I wouldn't put that on my worst enemy. It was rough. Okay. I cried when I got it. I cried and it's like so cute. They're like Doña Diamond Waller. And I'm like, I'm a Doña. I'm a
Oh my
Doña.
God.
It's
Oh
so
my God.
nice. And there's no expiration date, which makes it even better because I would not do it again. I would
I
not.
love it. I love it. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Well, great. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments. Otherwise, thanks, Diamond.
Of
Get back to
course.
your
Yeah.
day off.
Thank you. Nice meeting everybody. I hope you
Yeah,
enjoy
thanks.
CIE. Bye, Rachel.
Bye.
Bye.